Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Binance, the biggest cryptocurrency in the Milky Way galaxy, and the Agency for Innovation and Technology of Georgia, or GITA, that is G-I-T-A, have signed a memorandum of understanding, and it's the country Georgia and not the state. Just got to clarify that. The two groups want to collaborate on blockchain-related educational and community projects, as well as the growth of the cryptocurrency industry in the country as a whole. For those of you who've been paying attention to the Binance news over the course of the last 2 years, and me saying it over and over, Binance is pretty gosh darn gigantic. They have a very good, interesting, weird track record of not only partnering with countries, but meeting with and becoming friends with the rulers and leaders and presidents of these countries as well. It appears as if, from my current standpoint view, that Binance is trying to quickly take over or partner with a lot of countries within Eastern Europe, as a lot of the cryptocurrency regulations that we're hearing from Europe tend to be more of a Western thing. And I think Binance has positioned themselves in a very interesting spot where, while the Western European countries are worried about themselves and not a non-EU member partnership kind of thing going on, Binance has quickly swooped in and is now helping, I forgot the other one, some other Eastern European country, like work on like their crypto regulations, basically to make it favorable for Binance and other cryptocurrency related things. And it was also something just a couple of days ago as well that was also in the news, where they're also quite heavily shaking hands with a number of Eastern European countries. The CEO of the exchange, Changpeng Zhao, met with the Prime Minister. His name is Irakli Garibashvili, in November, to discuss investments, which led to the signing of the deal. What kind of investments? According to the press release, the collaboration will include local events and hackathons organized by BNB Chain, as well as initiatives by Binance Academy and Binance Charity. Binance's regional director, Vladimir Smerkis, stated, "Our goals are in line with the Georgian Agency for Innovation and Technology's goals. Together we can create an effective system in Georgia whereby innovation and technology can be developed." Avantandil Kazradze, chairman of the Agency for Innovation and Technology of Georgia, or GETA, has said that the upcoming hackathons and workshops focused on blockchain technology and the state's tech parks will help spur the development of novel business concepts and the launch of practical, marketable initiatives. Very interesting. I have a theory that Binance is probably a lot larger than any of us can actually conceptualize. I've seen before in many other asset classes and many other industries that normally when you get news like this, this could mean that Binance is probably investing millions, if not tens of millions of dollars into the local economy, and or in some other ways that we simply maybe even buying up government bonds for handshakes like this. But it will be fascinating to see in the future just how much larger Binance will be, and if these countries actually end up taking advantage of the cryptocurrency space more than other countries who kind of shun it or turn away from it. So yeah, that's the Binance has partnered with yet another country, because, you know, that just seems to be weekly at this point. I assume they may be missing like 30 different countries on the planet. Not really sure. That's the Changpeng Zhao. Binance has partnered with the Innovation and Technology Agency in Georgia. Yeah? Let's move on. Also in the news, where is it? There we go. According to data from analytics firm Glassnode, 49% of the total Bitcoin supply has stayed in the same wallet for more than 2 years. This is equivalent to more than 9.45 million BTC, or roughly around $220 billion at the time of writing. One of the other bullish metrics that people tend to look at within the cryptocurrency space is how few of a coin are moving. I know it sounds a bit counterproductive. You would assume that the more that a coin is moving, the more that a coin is being used, would seem more bullish, and therefore the network has more activity. Part of it is actually the opposite. When we see that tons of Ether has been locked up, isn't moving, large amounts of XRP are tied into other things, or more, half of the Bitcoin supply, if you will, hasn't moved, has been stayed inside of one entire wallet. It means that these large wallets are basically only accumulating Bitcoin. We've had that metric before a couple of years ago. It means that people are buying and most certainly not selling, which normally would mean to us that they're not only trying to buy all the Bitcoin in the world, but they have no intent of selling. So if kept the same, if these wallets end up being locked up like we heard many years ago. I remember this news came out and people were like, there's no way, people would never do that. We got news that there were tons of billionaires around the world who were buying up so much Bitcoin that they were locking it inside of mountains, like literal mountains. There was one video on YouTube. It was one of those like Vice kind of news things, where they were allowed inside, but their cameras could not even film where they were. They couldn't film certain parts of the mountain. They couldn't film what the door looked like. It was really intense. And it's basically like government levels of security. We had to pass by all these different checkpoints and stuff like that, going deeper into the mountain. So yeah, that's one part of that. Glassnode further explained this trend with a graph that shows the previous peak came in the last quarter of 2020 and the beginning of 2021. The peak ended during the bull market of 2021 because holders began to sell their coins, and therefore, it makes a lot of sense if you're selling or moving your coins as the price is skyrocketing. That's what typically tends to happen. Here's a little chart right here. After the massive dip in the value of Bitcoin, the indicator also fell, logically, and remained stable for most of last year. This means that Bitcoin holders decided to wait for a price increase before moving their assets in the middle of the bear market. However, can you guess what happened? This trend changed in December with a significant increase driven by the consistent rise in the value of Bitcoin. Currently, 49% of Bitcoin have not moved in 2 years, and investors are biding their time as we face a new bullish cycle for Bitcoin. So, once again, I lightly told you, and I was alluding to the fact that I still believe that something was wrong with November, the entire FTX thing. I believe personally that the larger players figured out that as we moved closer to March of this year and the Federal Reserve was going to change their tone on interest rate hikes, and therefore they knew that the stock market would rise and therefore the cryptocurrency market would rise. I feel like a lot of November was orchestrated and was made to get you to be so insanely scared that you would sell off your coins, which many people did. Hopefully you bought back at a lower amount. I don't know what was going on there. But once again, pay attention to the fact that no one's panicking over FTX anymore. It's meant to be the worst, most terrible thing in the entire world. But the sky isn't falling anymore. And we keep getting news that tons of whales are buying all the time. So just pay attention. Whenever you are told to be afraid, I think I've just been in the space for so long. I can kind of excuse my French. I can smell the letters B and S. So, yeah. The next time we probably will get news like this is when we see these coins moving, and that'll be a big indication for us that the whales are predicting or maybe trying to see if prices are going to begin falling. But yeah, That's more than roughly around half of Bitcoin's supply hasn't moved in just about 2 years news. Fascinating, no? Yeah? Let's move on. Here's, I don't not believe it's news, double negative there. Uniswap, the popular decentralized cryptocurrency trading platform, is allegedly being secretly controlled by the prominent investment fund known as Andreessen Horowitz. So, I myself, as you have known, I am not a gigantic fan of the term DeFi or decentralized finance or anything of the sort, simply because none of these platforms have proven themselves. Last year was a gigantic eye-opener for me, and I hope a lot of other people also out there who realized that nearly all of the DeFi platforms that we heard about at some point received a subpoena or got in trouble with the DOJ or the SEC or the 123, and they actually ended up shutting down or, taking away people's money or whatever the case might have been, which is not possible in a decentralized world. No one entity has control over a decentralized anything, and therefore the idea of them being able to halt funds, stop withdrawals, what have you, is a gigantic red flag. So I told you all this before. Watch out, because a lot of DeFi platforms lure people in by telling you, hey, you see that you can get 5% from staking your Ether, but if you do it on Mega Sushi Hamburger Unicorn Toenail Swap, you can get 95%. And people throw their money onto these things. And at least 3 times off the top of my head, these platforms collapsed last year and people lost billions of dollars. This information was revealed through recent on-chain data, which showed that the fund, Andreessen Horowitz, controls roughly around 41 million tokens of Uniswap, equivalent to around 4% of the total supply from 14 different wallets. Although this percentage may seem small, the amount is still considered significant and could be used to sway important proposals on the network affecting the future of the platform. This was also another issue that people had in 2018, 2019. 2017 was a very hypey year, but it was also a year where a lot of people realized that you could create new coins, create new protocols, and basically tell people that you were decentralized, even though you were only running 15 nodes. 15 nodes on the entirety of the network. And those 15 nodes, many people found, were actually only run by people already in the company or the institution who created said coin. The other problem was that a lot of times these protocols this is even before we had the idea of DeFi crypto exchanges. They would tell people, you can join the community as well. If you have even just one of these coins, you can throw it into the machine and you'll also be able to vote on these proposals. However, people found out very quickly you have to have a majority vote, of course, in a decentralized world to be able to have a proposal to go through. And the issue was that a lot of these votes that were coming in were around like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% of the entire voting thing. So there was one company, there was one gigantic jump in the proposal amount. And people were like, that doesn't seem kind of decentralized. But once again, a lot of people forget to care about decentralization when they themselves are making tons of money. Here's the chart right here. Apparently, all the blue parts are allegedly what's being owned or controlled or used by A16Z, which is Andreessen Horowitz. And there's a tweet right here. It says, you're being lied to about the governance of Uni. I have mentioned before, and I will always continue to do so, I think personally that there are a lot of things that are amiss, wrong, or just simply are lies that a lot of people are pushing out into the community. And I know that because I've been in this space for so long. I've seen things rise and completely collapse. I do not currently think at all that any decentralized platform or crypto exchange is actually decentralized. I think they are run by a single entity in a single company, with maybe the prospect of there being other nodes being run by other people, but it is nowhere near as decentralized as Ethereum or Bitcoin. And because of last year, with a lot of these protocols collapsing, or government agencies telling them to stop what they're doing and then they stopped, that doesn't make any sense, because if a government came to you and said, stop Bitcoin, you can't be like, okay, let me pull the lever. That's not how any of this works. So I implore you to take caution when using these platforms, not only because crypto is a risky asset class. I know you don't want to hear that, but it is. But the other side of it is, within that risk, there are even riskier things who are trying to get you to use their platforms until the platforms collapse. Don't forget about the 9 things that happened last year. And then people who are watching this channel end up losing money. And then you get upset, you get angry, when you can avoid that completely by not even using these platforms that are trying to honeypot you. That's the allegedly Andreessen Horowitz might control a large stake of Uniswap tokens, therefore making them one of the largest controllers, secret alleged controllers of the Uniswap protocol. Don't assume that because the other protocols fell apart last year and the year before and the year before that we're out of the woods. I think a lot of stuff in crypto is very fraudulent and they want you to use it because, remember, these people, they end up making billions of dollars and they usually don't care about you or your family. They're trying to make as much money as they can for themselves. That's the Uniswap news. Be careful. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, South Korea established guidance that specifies which type of assets will be considered and regulated as securities within the country. In a press release, the Financial Services Commission, or FSC, highlighted that digital assets that fit the characteristics laid out in the country's Capital Markets Act will be treated as securities. This law considers securities as financial instruments where investors are not required to make additional payments after their original investments. In addition, the FSC also provided examples of which digital assets will most likely be classified as securities. According to the FSC, this may include tokens that provide a stake in business operations, give holders rights to dividends or residual assets, or provides profit generated by the business to their investors. So basically it comes down to, this is exactly what a stock does. When you buy a stock, you have a portion of a company. If the company does well, you make money from it. But there's also like the dividend aspect, is that you will only do as well as the actual company is doing, and therefore for the coin itself. Cryptocurrencies that fit the descriptions of security tokens will be regulated under the country's capital markets law. Meanwhile, digital assets that do not fit the characteristics of securities will be governed by other upcoming regulations as well. This is just basically the list of the long line of governments who are trying to make cryptocurrency regulations. I think it's so sad that the rest of the world constantly falls into the lap of the US. The idea of a security is absolutely ridiculous. The idea of what a commodity is sometimes is stretched so far just to give regulatory bodies power over things that they should not have powers over. The idea that even other countries in the world have created other things that they also classify as securities, because the United States did that back in 1927, is just weird. So anyway, as I always say, we know that regulations were coming. And as long as a country doesn't say that they're banning it, silver lining. So they will be allowed. We will most certainly be getting a list of which coins end up being securities within South Korea and other parts of the world, basically because people will want to gloat that their coin is better than everyone else's. You've been lied to. You've been tricked. We have all drank the Kool-Aid in the idea that securities mean anything. They should mean nothing to our environment, especially if your coin is properly decentralized. It's kind of like years ago, back in 2018, 2019, and the beginning of 2020, we had constant news that every time a Bitcoin futures denominated and used in US dollars and never touching actual Bitcoin itself, that every time a futures contract was expiring, that Bitcoin's price had to go down. That would mean that the futures contract is stronger than the actual physical Bitcoin itself, which was also a complete lie. But regulators gonna regulate. It's just what they do. And yeah, let's move on. Also this is definitely propaganda news. Visa, the multinational payment company, has set its sights on a new frontier in the world of digital assets and blockchain technology. At the Starkware Sessions 2023, the head of the company's cryptocurrency section, Guy Sheffield, described the organization's most recent business endeavors. The company's ultimate objective is to enable users of its platform to convert digital assets into fiat currencies. For those of you who missed it over the last 2 years, Visa has head first into the cryptocurrency space. Visa and MasterCard understand that they are not long for this new digital world. Everyone and their mother knows what cryptocurrencies are. They continue to gain popularity. Cryptocurrency prices go up, yada, yada, yada. You get the entire idea. In order to stay at the forefront of all this technology, this is why we had years ago rumors of MoneyGram and Western Union. Why we saw PayPal completely fly into it and talk about they needed to, have Bitcoin on their platform for people to be able to buy. Why we saw Facebook talking about creating Facebook coin. And the original rumors were that they were also going to integrate Bitcoin and Ethereum onto their platform as well. But regulators completely tore that apart because they all know what's coming. So this news was touted as, even the title, it says Visa makes a bold move into the crypto world with stablecoin settlements. No. There's nothing bold or adventurous or wonderful about any of this. These people understand that they have to continue finding new ways to make money. When you have other companies, or even, let's be honest with ourselves, when you already have blockchains that do exactly what these companies do, how do you make a name for yourself or continue to be relevant? I can send you a stablecoin payment right now with no third-party intermediary. You can send me Tether with no third-party intermediary. It happens through the blockchain, one person to one person. How do you make sure that you say, whoa, we can also do the exact same thing? You make sure that as I'm sending it to you, it then has to touch Visa system. They take a portion of the money being sent, and then the money finally gets sent to you, and then they go regulated. Even though it was safe and just fine before, this is what they're doing. You might remember, I hope you do not forget this. There was really, it was like the most celebratory news a couple of weeks ago that Visa is trying to integrate Ethereum payments. And everyone was like, yeah, this is great. Ethereum's going to be amazing. And then I read it out to you and I showed you what they're trying to do. I can send you Ether right now. You can send me Ether right now. The only intermediaries are the people who are running the validating nodes. And they say, yeah, this is a real transaction. This isn't false. This person had Ether. Send it to another person. And now you get the amount of Ether that I sent to you. Visa, however, wants to be the person in the middle. If I'm sending you Ether, here we go again. Visa wants to take a portion of the Ether that I'm trying to send you as the clearinghouse to be able to then go further to the other person. Can anyone tell me why this is ridiculous? Because the blockchain already does that. The blockchain is the third party. I'm first, you're second. The blockchain facilitates the actual transaction. It is the third party. There's no other human being needed in the transaction. So Visa and MasterCard and PayPal and all these other companies, they understand that there's a huge amount of money to be made. And they also want a gigantic slice of that pie for every single transaction going through it. According to Sheffield, one of the areas that Visa is investing in is a worldwide settlement with digital assets and fiat currencies. He said that the business wants to establish muscle memory in the same way that it can convert between dollars and euros in international financial transactions. However, due to the fact that these settlements are still handled through SWIFT, which is a messaging system from the 1970s, the payment giant has not been able to transfer money as often as it would want. This has hampered its capacity to move money around. Sheffield said that in order to get over this obstacle, Visa has been conducting tests to see whether it is possible to accept settlement payments made using stablecoins on the Ethereum blockchain. He said, "We're thinking a lot about how to make some of the value that Visa provides on existing bank rails with existing forms of beyond and a rebuild that is on top of blockchain rails using stable boards. If we think there are huge opportunities in that area, it just kind of stays on emerging." I don't know what kind of English he's speaking. Anyway, the point is, I said this is propaganda because a lot of people, you have to also understand, if big news comes out, sometimes big companies want you to know that it is big news, and therefore you should be like, wow, Visa's really cool in what they're doing. It makes the mind not care so much about there being another person taking extra money from them in the transaction, as opposed to being like, wait, the blockchain already does that. You can send a stablecoin payment around the world right now. We don't need additional payment rails, but these big companies want you to know that the safest way of sending it is by having it touch their office. They take a little portion, but now regulators have seen where the coins were going. They collect your data, and then it goes even further to the other person who could have gotten it in the first place with even lower transaction fees. Pay attention to what's happening. Pay attention always to what's happening. That's the Visa. Wow, a bold move. So bold, so brave of them to get into the cryptocurrency space, because we know it's only for criminals. That's what Warren Buffett said. So he has to be right? He wouldn't lie. Why would Warren Buffett lie? And yeah, let's move on. Also in news, the South Korean tech giant Samsung. Have you ever watched a documentary on how large Samsung actually is? You don't pay attention to it. You see Samsung TVs. Samsung is like monstrously large in South Korea. Look up a documentary on that. The South Korean tech giant Samsung has announced its intentions to compete in the growing metaverse and virtual reality headset market. The firm has hinted at the development of a virtual reality headset by announcing the development of extended reality gear. A similar gadget is under development according to TM Roh, that is ROH, head of Samsung Mobile Experiences. Although he did not provide a debut date for the hardware, Qualcomm, a chip maker, and Google, however, were partners, as he stated. Roh elaborated on why Samsung waited to enter the market, noting that the industry wasn't prepared, for the product, and that comparable gadgets released by rivals have not been met with the predicted success. No, it's basically that no one could kind of do it properly. Everyone was basically re-releasing headsets that looked like they were on the PlayStation 3 or something like that, expecting people to go completely wild for it. We have the technology already to have augmented reality. Like, we know that we have the technology. It's just a matter of someone like actually doing it and keeping it low cost. Like, there's nothing, no other. Anyway, the point of this entire article, for those of you who haven't gotten it the last couple of months, there's a really weird blending of, if you will, anytime that the word metaverse, virtual reality, augmented reality is mentioned in any article, especially when it comes to Samsung, because Samsung, I think they were the first people who made a blockchain phone. I believe it was them. Everyone kind of goes completely insane, and everyone ends up loving all the news about it. I guess because crypto has metaverses, and therefore at some point people assume that there's going to be a blend of them together. I personally assume any Samsung, Google, Facebook, Amazon, you name it, metaverse, will not only be decentralized, but they are going to be the largest gatherers of your data. I mean, like in mass. They will essentially know literally everything that you are doing while you're in there, because I'm pretty sure your avatar will also just be constantly recorded, everything you say or do or buy. So yeah, metaverse news consistently makes it into the cryptocurrency space news. It's just more of I would love if there was more of a focus on decentralized metaverse platforms, but I think they probably don't have all the monies to be able to, make headsets and other really cool things that Apple and Samsung are making, but we'll get there eventually. That's the Samsung is talking about making new headsets or something like that this year. Once again, it's because Apple's expected to do something this spring, so everyone's trying to jump on the bandwagon before the bandwagon can even move. All right. Let's move on. Yeah. I hope that you've all enjoyed. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all are having a great day. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, commenting, subscribing, supporting. Anything you're doing, I appreciate it. You're all absolutely awesome. Thank you all once again, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.